I'm aiming for 2 weeks, but I have no clue if I'm going to be able to hit 2 weeks or if I'm going to tap out.
I've always been really curious about streaming as a profession. I remember watching my favorite League of Legends streamers in high school when I still played the game, but I also just watched it because it was fun. And now that streaming has grown so much, I decided to challenge myself to stream 8+ hours a day for a week to answer the question, what is it like to stream full time?
That's not really what I want, right? I've been playing so long, like, look at this. This is from my wrist resting on the mouse pad. Somebody take me out back and just put me in the electric chair. Somebody order an electric chair for me right now.
I also didn't want to half-ass the experiment and just go live for 8 hours a day and twiddle my thumbs. I wanted to actually make the stream as good as possible, which means that I also wanted to do the peripheral things that someone that wants to be a full-time streamer would also need to do. This includes things like planning content, editing short-form content, promoting said content, and just anything else to improve the stream. Stop! A quick disclaimer, obviously I'm not a big streamer. In fact, I don't even know if I can call myself a streamer. So my attempt at this challenge and experiences are just the best I can do to replicate the experience of what a full-time streamer might be like. Obviously, I acknowledge that my experience is not the same as someone like Ludwig or XQC or like Valkyrie, but obviously I can't just like blow myself up and just see what it's like for them. And if you wanted to know, you can probably just ask them. I guess this is from the perspective of someone who might want to become a full-time streamer and what that experience is like. So to get ready for the experiment, I did stream a few times beforehand because I wanted to get familiar with the controls and what that would be like.
It's low-key kind of confusing.
I didn't want to go live and just flounder on stream because I don't think that's very entertaining at all. And also I don't see bigger streamers do that. So I wanted to make sure everything at least somewhat ran smoothly, at least to the best of my knowledge, before attempting the challenge. Which of course had its own challenges while I was doing it, which is I think inevitable. After about a week or so, I felt confident enough to embark on the full 8+ hours a day challenge. In preparation for the stream, I also bought a webcam, the Logitech C920S, which is apparently really good. I read some reviews online for it and people were recommending this camera if you wanted to stream. It's obviously not what some of the bigger streamers use. I think the bigger streamers actually use cameras and they hook up like an external battery supply to it or something so it can keep running. And this was the only thing I didn't have already for the streaming setup. Admittedly, I don't think you need a webcam to stream, but I did this because I felt like a webcam is kind of important for the streaming experience, or at least having an avatar on stream that the audience or the viewers can project your persona onto, if that makes sense. And that avatar could literally be like an animated character, which is why VTubers are so popular. Like there's a reason why that works and that's good. I think it's less so about your face per se, but having something the audience can project your voice coming out of or your character coming out of, if that makes sense. But that's besides the point. I don't know too much about VTubers, but I know they're killing it. Alright, here's the rest of the setup. Alright, here's my streaming setup. Check out this Bionicle, the GOAT. I did get these dual monitors on sale. I had to replace my old monitor because my old monitor was literally like a really small monitor I found on the side of the road. Like it was literally a garbage monitor and it was filled with ants and I had to clean it when I got it. But yeah, here's the Logitech webcam, the C920S, and here's Mike, short for Michael. I bought this mic off of an old coworker. I don't remember the name of it, so I'll put it on screen. I also have this capture card. I didn't use this during the challenge, but I bought this afterwards because I thought I would stream a bit more. And here's the Mac Mini I used to stream. This is like extremely atypical. I don't think many people would use a Mac Mini. I think people just use gaming PCs. I had to get the Mac Mini beforehand because my old PC was so slow. It would literally take me like 15 hours to render a video and it would still not come out properly. So this was a really good budget option. I guess you can try because I wasn't planning to stream. Yeah. Aside from the hardware, I decided to opt for OBS as the broadcasting software because I've heard the name from somewhere before, so I assume that it's reliable. There's other options as well like Streamlabs, and I think Twitch offers its own broadcasting software as well, so you can check that out if you don't want to use OBS. It did take some Googling to figure out how to connect my OBS account to my Twitch account, but I did figure it out and it was a lot easier than I thought it would be, but nonetheless still a task for a noob like myself. Alright, let's get into the meat and potatoes. The 7 days passed sort of how you would have expected. I did have some hiccups along the way, like problems with sources, the timer not working properly, the sudden change in schedule, and people around me not really knowing what I was doing. Like people would message me and call me and I'd be like, dude, I'm doing something right now. Obviously they wouldn't know, so I can't blame them. And after the 7 days had passed, this is what I learned from the experience. some problems I ran into, and what surprised me the most. Let's talk about the most obvious thing first, the 8+ hours a day. The 8 hours in and of itself isn't that crazy. It's basically like a 9 to 5. I think what makes the 8 hours difficult is trying to be entertaining the whole time. Because the job of a streamer is to be an entertainer, you're kind of obligated to keep the energy going the full way. Well, I guess halfway through you can kind of take a break and if your viewers know, but I think if you're starting off and you don't know when people are going to come in and people also don't know what to expect from you, then it's best to keep the energy going the full way, because if someone pops in and they see that you're just not doing anything, you're sitting there, that's a lost potential viewer, and that's huge for a new streamer. And it's especially difficult trying to stay entertaining when there's nobody in chat. Like for the first bit of streaming, nobody was there. I was literally just talking to myself in my room. Like that's what I thought being a schizo was probably like. I was just yabbering to myself and like talking about random nonsense, and it was just like kind of a strange experience at first.
What?
And that got old pretty quickly, and I ended up being kind of demoralized, and I started to ask the question like, what was even the point of talking while no one was there anyways to respond or hear? This is probably because I hadn't gotten used to just trying to be entertaining. Like I think I have like funny moments and stuff like that, but when I'm purposely being performative, I feel like it's kind of weird and unnatural for me. And that's how I felt like I needed to be on stream, which I don't know if that's wrong or not. As I got more comfortable, I did find some jokes and stuff that I could default on, things I would already kind of be saying to myself inside my head that I thought were funny. And I guess the next step was just taking those funny clips and vocalizing them. I think one of the main inhibitors for this at first was some self-consciousness, because you don't know who's on the other side watching. But I think once you realize that it doesn't really matter, or those people aren't really gonna chat with you, or even if they do, I mean, you're still doing your thing and that's you, and that doesn't really matter. So I think after getting over that hump, it was more okay. And while making this video, Ludwig actually made this challenge where he wanted to stream on this new channel, and the stream would end when somebody typed in chat. And apparently he said that went on for 5 hours, but he thought that it was just gonna end in like an hour or so. And he said that it was really difficult being a small streamer. I'm not gonna misquote him, so I'll insert some of the clips here.
Streaming to 0 viewers is way harder than a 9 to 5, because you make $0 and you are talking to literally no one. It's probably the hardest job you could have, because you are really only doing it for the passion, the love of the game. Do you know how hard and how different it is to stream to 0 viewers versus streaming to 1 viewer? The difference between 0 and 1 is greater than the difference between 1 and 10,000. I'm not exaggerating. Streaming to 0 viewers is impossible. It's impossible. It's so hard.
But yeah, interesting food for thought. I do want to re-emphasize and reiterate what many other streamers have already said as well, which is that it's good practice to maintain the same energy throughout the stream, even when you don't think anybody's watching, because you don't know when anybody's gonna come in. And when they come in, you might only have a couple of seconds to attract them and make them stay, instead of waiting to see the viewer number go up and then suddenly kicking in the gear and trying to be funny. By then it might already be too late. And once again, being a small streamer, every viewer is very important. Not that it's not important for bigger streamers, but I think it's especially important for smaller streamers. On the flip side, I wonder what it's like when chat starts to pick up and you have like hundreds of messages coming through. Like I can imagine that being overstimulating or overwhelming for the streamer to deal with, because I think you do want to respond to as many people as possible, but when there's just so many messages, you can't respond to everybody. And imagine doing that while playing a game at the same time and trying to do well in the game. I think it's just so easy to get overwhelmed or like overstimulated. And on top of the 8+ hours a day, there's also the hours needed behind the scenes planning the content, promoting the content, reviewing footage, editing shorts, making longer form YouTube videos, and even things like creating and crafting incentives for subscriptions and donating bits. Not only does this take time, it's also a bit overwhelming for a small streamer to take care of all by themselves. I personally have a very difficult time editing short form content. I don't think I really understand short form content the way I understand longer form content. Not that I really understand longer form content either, but it's just easier to grasp the longer form content. But yeah, making actually good short form content is like an art form in and of itself. And the reason I'm placing so much emphasis on short form content is because apparently, according to the bigger streamers, it's so important to advertise your stuff, because if you don't advertise, no one's gonna find you, because Twitch is a win more platform where it kind of suggests bigger streamers mostly, and the smaller streamers, like there's so many smaller streamers that just get lost. I did manage to clip a few things, however, and edit them into shorts, but they didn't get that many views, but that's okay. It's all part of the process of learning, and maybe they're just not that funny. I don't know. If you're an established streamer, you can probably split this work up with an editor or an assistant if you so choose. But if you're a newbie streamer, you'd probably have to do all the work by yourself. And that's a lot of work, even if it's not extremely physically demanding. This kind of segues nicely into my thoughts on clip farming. Before this challenge, I found the idea of clip farming kind of obnoxious and inauthentic. dynamic. It seemed like a cheap way to generate content in hopes of going viral or having as many clips as you can circulating out there. But after streaming for even just a little bit and reviewing the footage after the stream to see if there's anything worth clipping and turning into short form content, I came to the realization that although I had moments I thought were funny, none of them really stuck out to me in the way that I thought that they could be short form content, if that makes sense. Like nothing felt clip worthy. And after most of my sessions, I didn't feel like there was anything worth promoting. Even though I thought my stream was okay, there wasn't anything I thought was worthwhile taking out and showcasing it to, I don't know, YouTube Shorts or something like that. This, coupled with hearing how promotional content is so important for smaller streamers, really put clip farming into perspective for me. The reality is, you can be one of the best streamers on paper, and I'm not talking about myself, I'm really not, but somebody that is better at advertising can capture more audience members than you. It's the same as competing products. You can have a product that's better than something else, but if your marketing is worse than theirs, they can outsell you. At the end of the day, content creators are competing for audience members. They're competing for attention. And it might be something that's difficult to do, but it's important that you join the competition because you also need to compete for these audience members. In a way that you need the audience members to be able to find you, you know, algorithms, things like that. I don't know how the algorithm works, but you gotta play the game. You gotta play the algorithm game. I don't know. At the end of the day, you have to leverage as many tools as you can if you want to be successful, and that might just be clip farming. Which brings me to my next point, a very interesting point. The content creator is the product. You are the entertainer, which is pretty obvious, but it didn't really clock to me until I had my first chatter. And that experience made me reflect on the dynamic between streamer and audience member. Although we interact and talk, it's not like we're messaging someone we know. The interaction is mostly on the viewer's terms. Like, the viewer can choose not to respond to you, and you have to just keep going and be entertaining regardless. Like, you can't throw a hissy fit if the viewer doesn't respond to you. Like, you just have to move on. Like, maybe you ask a question that they don't want to answer, or maybe they're not even there anymore, right? And there are also different type of viewers. Not all viewers want to chat, and some viewers really like to chat. The viewers that don't like to chat sometimes are called lurkers. It sounds kind of bad, but like, lurking is completely normal. Like, some people just want to watch, right? Again, you can throw out questions, but you shouldn't have the expectation that they will or have to respond. If they don't respond, you simply move on and continue being entertaining. I was fortunate enough to have an active viewer in chatter, and even then, they didn't respond to everything that I threw out. And when I reflected on that, it might be partially because not everything I was asking was appropriate. Let me explain. I think there's certain boundaries where some questions are just too intimate. For example, if I ask how your day was, that's probably fine, right? You just say good. You might say good, they might not say good. And maybe you can ask like, oh, what did you get up to today? Like, maybe that's a little too dicey, or how was work? Work was good. But then when you start asking questions like, what do you do for work? Like, that might be a little too intimate and too personal for them to want to share with you. And I think that might be stepping over the line as the streamer. But obviously, this is case by case, but I think it depends on your relationship with that viewer. But it's not something that I think you can just ask every single person that comes into the stream, if that makes sense. And Ludwig makes really good points about this. If you don't know Ludwig, Ludwig's a huge streamer, one of the best to do it. And I think Ludwig makes really good points about this in his video titled, I Am Not Your Friend. In this video, he talks about the reality of streamer and viewers not actually knowing each other.
How could we not get attached to someone like you? Just treat it like you would treat the TV show Mad Men. You shouldn't form a relationship with me. At the end of the day, I'm entertainment. If I stop entertaining, you stop watching. That's it. That's what I want from you guys, because I'm not your friend. I will never, ever hang out with you, and I don't care about you because I don't know you. I can't. There are 13,000 people here. I can't care about all of you because I don't know any of you. So all I do is I turn on Twitch, I treat you like a coherent body of people, and I stream to entertain. That's all I do.
Although I know parasocialness is on the rise, like, I don't think I even need to say it and you already know who I'm talking about, if you're familiar with streams. In reality, again, the streamer is just the entertainer. And this goes both ways. It might not be in the best interest of either party to try to be friends, like adding people online and giving out too much information and genuinely pursuing that relationship. I think you could run into some troubles, but I mean, it can't be bad all the time, but like, you do have to be careful, I think. There's definitely a need for healthy boundaries in this regard. Also, while making this video, I saw this post on a subreddit. I think it's for small streamers or Twitch. And basically the post talks about how a streamer was calling out chatters for not chatting and for just lurking. And basically the post says like, guys, don't do this. This is really bad. This is not how you're supposed to stream. Like, people should be able to lurk and you should just let them lurk. I'll show it on screen so you can read the post and comments verbatim, so I'm not just like pulling things out of my ass. But yeah, boundaries. Okay, let's move on to some smaller things. On day 5 of the streaming challenge, one of my viewers, who turned out to be another small streamer, invited me to play Hearthstone Battlegrounds with him and his friends. It made the experience a lot more enjoyable, and we had a great time. Not only that, it also helped cross-pollinate whatever viewers we had as well. Which is why I want to highlight the power of working and meeting other smaller streamers, because I think collaboration is key, and I think it's one of the advantages big streamers have. They can combine huge viewerships together to gain even more viewers, which pushes them even higher on the Twitch recommended. You also get somebody else to banter off of. I keep talking about Ludwig, but Ludwig's Bro v Bro series is really funny because I think you have somebody else that's also very funny and established streamer that they can banter off of, and it just makes the content like so much better. Not that his content is bad, his content is great already, but it just elevates it to even higher levels, I think. And even though smaller streamers don't have that huge viewer base to combine with each other, I think the ability to have somebody to banter off of fills up that empty space where you might be struggling to be entertaining, if that makes sense. And also, if you have 5 viewers and they have 5 viewers, you can combine those 5 viewers into 10 viewers, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're at the bottom and you're a small streamer, 10 viewers is a lot. That's a lot of growth. Also, the importance of having a plan. And this doesn't just apply to streaming. If someone's goal is to stream and have fun, this might not apply to them, but if you want to grow and make a career out of streaming, I think sitting down and coming up with a plan for how you want to achieve your goals as a streamer will pay dividends for you in the future. Things like how you want to allocate your time and your schedule, to how you're going to promote your content, to the type of content you want to create. And this is what I've gathered from the big streamers. If you want to succeed as a small content creator, you need to make promotional content. And if your promotional content has to be good, then all of that starts with your primary stream. So planning out what that primary stream is going to look like and parts you know or think are going to be funny and clippable, that's really important to growth. And then there's the really small stuff that's really not that interesting, like the learning curve for Twitch as a platform, learning how to use OBS, all the sources and stuff like that, not bumping into my mic, balancing the audio for the game with my mic, with what's on the screen. Because nobody wants to watch a stream that's just painful, right? Like if it just sucks and it hurts your ears to listen to, like why am I watching this? I don't care. There's also precautions like not doxing yourself, like accidentally opening documents that you're not supposed to, or leaking messages and things like that. Which is why I'll reiterate again why I think a dual monitor setup is so important, because you can have one screen to be like your safe haven where you can do all your sensitive stuff, and then if you want to bring the stuff onto the stream, then you can move it onto the next monitor. I think that's really important. I think these are all mistakes that you need to make so you learn. Even though I'm telling you right now, we're gonna skip the step for you. There's probably some things that I miss as well, but thankfully, I think when you're a small streamer, your viewer obviously knows as well, so they'll be a little bit more gracious with you, I think. I'm also surprised how much my wrist hurt after a week. Like playing games or like doing whatever on the computer for 8+ hours a day for a week is insane. I don't know how professional gamers do it. Like they must have some special wrist braces or like exercises that they do to like maintain wrist health, because my wrist was literally killing me. Like I had to switch from my right hand to my left hand to play the game, and then I would have to switch back to my right hand when it required high APM. Like things like that. It's crazy to me. Like I don't know. Props to pro gamers, props to pro streamers. Like definitely they have that figured out. Obviously I'm not an expert. If you want to learn more, Twitch has their own streaming class / lessons where they give out tips and stuff that you want to keep in mind. It covers things like curating chat and also like etiquette, and I found it to be a pretty useful place to start. Again, I don't even know if I can call myself a streamer. If you really want to learn more, I definitely recommend watching Ludwig's video titled How to Be a Streamer Ultimate Guide. He covers a lot of stuff and he's very insightful, and he's just one of the best to do it. Like if you want to be good at something, definitely go check out what the pros do, right? In conclusion, well, there's something on my ceiling. Streaming is a lot more work than I anticipated, but that shouldn't be a surprise considering how competitive it is. I am, however, surprised, and this was the most surprising thing, by how many people actually found their way to the stream. Twitch, as mentioned again by Ludwig, is a win more platform. So if you have more viewers, you will rise to the top, and if you have no viewers, you will not rise. So I'm very surprised that people actually use the explore and browse functions to pop into smaller streams. These people are actually doing their Lord's work. If you want to start streaming, just start. Don't worry about making everything perfect before you do. I was given a lot of grace by the few chatters and viewers that did stop by, because I think we all understood that it's a learning process and the most important step is to just start. At the end of the day, streaming is supposed to be fun and something you enjoy. So if you don't make leaps in progress right away, it's okay. Just enjoy the process and enjoy the journey. I don't want to say the destination doesn't matter, but allow yourself to enjoy the journey. Anyways, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe. I know the content is constantly shifting on this channel, but I do want to create more content where I just inquire about things I'm curious about. Please stay tuned, and yeah, take care. Goodbye.